Is your twin flame still coming back around with the same energy? The same half-assed bullshit? The same flaky, breadcrumby energy like before? Well, the thing is, the energy will repeat until you both heal the cycle, until you both choose yourselves. So it's time to set some healthy boundaries so that they will not repeat that same behaviour over and over again. My name is Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is it. Everything repeats again and again until we learn to heal from it, until we learn the lesson. And oftentimes we can neglect our own healing because of our twin flame. We are so craving their energy, so craving to be with them, that we forget our own boundaries, that we forget our own, what we need to heal and the lessons that we need to learn. And if we keep repeating the same thing over and over again, it's not going to change until we actually take a step back and take our power back. And that's what's so important for the divine feminine anyway, is to take your power back for you. We end up losing our power to our twin flame. And now everything we go through is healing. It's a trigger for healing. So every activation heals, every contact heals, every time you meet or have any kind of, text messages or communication, there will be something triggered and there will be something that needs to be healed. But the energy will stay the same unless you change it. And that's a fact. If we're not setting healthy boundaries for ourselves, they're not going to change their behavior either. And that's if you keep allowing, that's it, you're allowing the same behavior effectively. You keep questioning, why are they still the same? Why aren't they doing the healing? Why haven't they evolved? It's because you have stuff to work on as well. And we have, I suppose, with the guidance we're getting externally, sometimes we can neglect our own needs. So we're told, leave our twin flame have space. Yes, leave them have space. But if you need to voice a boundary or voice what you need, that's okay too. Because that's a part of your healing growth. Because that's one thing that I suppose triggered me a lot was, don't speak, don't tell them this, don't say this, don't overbear with them or whatever. But one of my biggest wounds to heal was using my own voice. So how am I supposed to heal my wound because of what I'm being told not to do? So I think we have to really dig deep as to the parts of ourselves that need healing. What can you do to change the behavior? What can you do to change the cycle? What can you do to choose yourself? Because we worry that our twin flame isn't choosing us, and that makes us feel unworthy. And obviously, if we have an unworthiness wound, that needs to be triggered to heal. But it will continue to be triggered by their behavior if you don't take that step back and reevaluate the situation. Are you still allowing the opportunity for them to treat you like shit, if you get me? What I'm saying is, if you're continuing to go back to them without setting healthy boundaries, nothing is ever going to change. And that's effectively it. You think that they're not healing. But if you keep accepting the same behavior, that's you not healing either. We keep looking outside of ourselves when everything that we need to do is within ourselves. So where do you need to set those healthy boundaries? Ask yourself those questions. What can you do to change the situation? What can you do to choose yourself? And I keep saying that. You have to choose yourself. And when they're not choosing you, it means they're not choosing themselves either. And this is it. We do need to give each other that space to heal. But you have to acknowledge what you need to heal as well. And I think we're both addicted to each other's energy. So it's very hard for us to set those boundaries. You know what I mean? They text us or whatever, and we're like a fucking teenager again, literally back down to below zero, kind of going, oh my God. And literally, all of our training goes out the fucking window and we're back to square one. And they approach us with the same behavior and we accept it with the same behavior. So instead of, reprimanding them or giving out about them or being frustrated towards them, ask yourself, are you still acting, from an unhealed place? And, I've said this before, the inner teen is one of the biggest ones that we can heal on obviously the inner child, but the inner teen is a big one. Is your twin flame acting like a fucking teenager? are you acting like a teenager? It's mirrored energy. We have to remember this as well. Everything they do is a reflection of what we're doing. So that's where the boundaries come in. And this had to happen for me as well. I had to let the cycle repeat 3 times before I actually said no. And the worst part about it is when it happened the first time, I said to myself, I need to set a boundary. And what did I do? I went back into teenage mode. Didn't set the boundary. And then after that, I was like, oh, I need to set my boundary. And guess what happened? Once again, I didn't set my boundary. And I went back down into the energy. Worse, actually, I went into a dark night as a soul energy after that. And I was just like, what the actual fuck? You know what I mean? What, like, you know, I was bitching about his behavior, how he was treating me, but I was allowing it to happen. I wasn't setting my boundaries. When I said from fucking day one, set the boundary. But then I was like, no, I let it repeat 2 or 3 times before I set my fucking boundary. You know what I mean? So I was just like, this is the important thing. And I had to take my energy back and regain my self-respect. And that's a big one for us as a divine feminine. We are losing our self-worth. Oh, it's not losing our self-worth. We have low self-worth because of our previous relationships. But because we're accepting the same energy from our twin, we're literally activating that wound over and over again without actually healing it. And unless we set our boundaries and take our power back, we're never really going to heal that. Because every single time my twin flame was in contact, I would go to fucking below 0 again. Literally letting him dictate my self-worth, feeling that I wasn't good enough because of how he was treating me. And it's just like, it's nothing to do with you. You know, it's actually, you know, the funny thing, well, it's not funny. Your lack of self-worth because of how they're treating you is actually a mirror to their lack of self-worth. Because they're thinking that if they pull back, they won't get hurt. Because they don't think they're worthy enough for this relationship. You know, so we have to understand that dynamic as well. But you can't heal his unworthiness wound or their unworthiness wound. You have to heal your own. So how can you regain your power? And for me personally, I had to step back. I was the one who ghosted him for nearly 2 months then at one stage. Because I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't handle the fact that he was continuing to treat me like an afterthought. Do you know? And that behaviour is still going to continue. But the next time we got back in contact, I put in a boundary. I said, no more. I'm not doing the same cycle again. I'm just not doing it. You know, let's do the things differently. You know, and to be honest, I'm still getting the same flaky behaviour. You know what I mean? And I've gone into a surrender stage now where I don't give a fuck. I'm not letting him control how I see myself. And the way I see it, if you don't see my worth, there's something wrong with you, not me. And that's a fact. Do you know what I mean? So we have to get our power back and understand how amazing we are, and don't let their behaviour make us feel anything less than. And I think that's the biggest one when it comes to these repeated cycles, or how they trigger our unworthiness wound. Because I know I have to go back to the fact they're not the reason we're unworthy. We're unworthy because of our past, or feel unworthy. We're not unworthy. We're not unworthy. We're all worthy. But we feel unworthy because of our past. It's just that and like, you know, it's their behavior that triggers it. And it's so important. Like, you know what I mean? We blame them for our triggers. We blame them for us feeling unworthy. But the unworthiness wound was always there. So we should be grateful to them for triggering it. I know that sounds like a contradiction in what I'm saying. But we should be grateful to them for showing us what we need to heal. But we need to still come back and use our power to prevent them from triggering it again. But obviously we need to heal it anyway. We do need to heal it. That's important. But how do we heal it? We heal it by taking our power back. We heal it by setting those boundaries. We heal it by choosing ourselves. That's the important thing here. So where can you set boundaries? Is your twin flame constantly coming back in the same energy? Are you constantly going back in the same energy? Are the two of you still acting like fucking teenagers? Because if that's a yes, we need to look at that. We need to say, where do I need to grow up in a sense? Or evolve? You know what I mean? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to evolve out of our old relationship patterns. That's the secret. The thing is that we're repeating patterns from previous relationships. And I think the biggest thing, obviously, to do with that is our unworthiness wound. But it's the feeling that we're wrong. That our twin flame is just like everyone else. That they're just going to treat us like shit, like the last person. And that's the same, I think they feel the same. We're afraid to lose ourselves to our twin because we've lost ourselves in previous relationships. And we're afraid that they are just like, we're wrong, that none of this is right, and that for some reason, this is just going to be another repeated pattern from past relationships. That everything they do is mirroring the energy of our past relationships. But the reason that is because we're still holding that fear and that energy and that unworthiness from our past relationships. This is why it looks like, it can look like we are just going through another toxic relationship pattern. It's to show us where we need to break those patterns. It's to show us how to become independent or interdependent within a relationship rather than codependent. And I think that's the most important thing, is to overcome that codependency. And I think we become so codependent on another person in a relationship to make us feel validated, to make us feel loved. And when we don't receive that from our twin, we literally just spiral into the fact, is this the same pattern? And I think we get very hard on ourselves because of that. Because I know for me personally, I can say to myself, am I doing it again? Am I wrong about his energy? Is he just another asshole? But this all boils down to what I need to heal from my previous relationships. What patterns I need to break. What boundaries I need to set. Where I need to use my voice. Where I need to speak up for myself. Where I need to take my power back. Where I need to remain in my independence. And I don't mean hyper independence. You know what I mean? We can get into hyper independence where we're too afraid to be in a relationship, too afraid to lose ourselves, too afraid to lose our independence. But there's such a thing as interdependence, where you can both maintain your freedom, not freedom as in singlehood, but freedom as in sovereignty within the relationship. You can both be in power within the relationship. You can both be not in control, but the balance of control between the two of you. And that's the most important thing. So this is why healthy boundaries are so important. This is why choosing yourself is so important. This is why breaking the old relationship paradigm is so important, because it's going to continue to look like previous toxic relationship patterns until you do something about it. And that comes down to your inner healing and healing your unworthiness wound. And I think the biggest part of me personally for my unworthiness wound, and for all of us, comes from our inner child and it comes from our inner teen. Healing those aspects of ourselves can be very, very helpful. But I think it's definitely trying to maintain healthy boundaries. Don't repeat the patterns you did in past relationships. If you feel yourself going into that teenage energy again, as I'll call it, then take your step back. Take your time to fucking evaluate the situation and your time to heal. And just remember one thing, and this is the most important thing. You are worthy. Your twin is worthy. You just need to understand that for yourselves. And you will both get there once you both choose yourselves. And that's the one important thing that you have to remember. The reason they're not coming forward is because they're feeling this unworthiness as well, and because they're not choosing themselves, and they're not choosing their lives and their growth and their healing. So understand everything is mirrored. So what they need to heal, you need to heal. But be strong, set your boundaries, maintain your sovereignty, and let go of the outcome. That's one of the most important things as well. You have to get to a place where you're okay whether they come back or they don't. You have to get to a place where their behaviour doesn't dictate your self-worth. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today. I love nothing more than to help in your path. Also, I'm hosting a free webinar on Friday, the 12th of September at 6 p.m. Ireland UK time. I will be speaking on inner child healing, which is a very important part of our journey. If you want any information, just comment below. I also have a new channel called Aligning with Angie, where I'll be sharing a new meditation every week. So the link for that is in the description box.